Hey guys, I wanted to give you a video of the other page in the PBA in a day practice. So yesterday we started off by identifying our stance. And remember, my example is that women should be allowed in combat. If you have a different stance, that's okay. We went through our 3 pieces of background information. We talked about our opponents and what our opponents would say. And then we included a thesis statement here, okay? And that's where we ended. So what I want to do today is go through the charts, okay? And so this part right here is to support your particular stance. So we're going to come up and find 3 claims that support the idea that women should be allowed in combat. So I have my first article pulled up. I have my second article pulled up here. Okay. And so since I'm working for yes, a lot of this second article is very much for the no side. So a lot of my first part of the chart might come from this first article, or depending on your stance, it'll flip flop, and that's okay. So what I want to do is I want to think about ways that this article kind of supports the idea that women should be in combat. So one of the big things that we saw in this first article was that it will help women in these groups be more have a positive group impact, I guess. So I want to kind of scroll down and look at my notes on this side, and I see that I have this idea here that women can organize well in businesses. So I'm going to use that as my claim number 1. So I'm going to say women bring better communication to groups. So that's my claim. Okay, and that's kind of what I put here. And so I'm going to find a piece of evidence that matches it. So something that I highlighted, okay, is right here. So I'm going to take this and I'm going to copy it and I'm going to paste it into my evidence. But I do want to make sure that I embed it. Okay, so I'm going to take a minute and I'm going to make sure I put my quote marks here. And I'm going to start by saying, let's see here. This came from researchers. So I'm going to look up a little bit higher and I'm going to say, oh, this is the Carnegie Mellon and MIT research. So I can use that information to embed my quote. So in a study by Carnegie Mellon and MIT, researchers found groups with more women tended to have more even communication pattern. Okay, and then I want to make sure that I cite this. So if I go back to my article, this author's name was Harding, and I found this quote on the second page. Okay, and then I'm going to come over here and I'm going to start my reasoning. So it's going to follow the CER piece. And so what I want to do is kind of explain, why this communication is important, stuff like that. And so I've kind of got ideas here on this side. Okay, so we can use part of this information and maybe just clean it up a little bit because it's a rough draft, but the idea is good. The information is good. So I'm going to say, I'm going to copy that and I'm going to paste it right here. And then I'm going to take a look at it and make sure that it is, written well and it's not just kind of all over the place. Because when we have our notes, we're not necessarily focusing on grammar or how to write well. So women tend to focus on emotions which can help improve communications. In the military, in the military, communications can lead to, potentially saving lives. And I'm going to delete this part up here because a lack of communication can be dangerous. Okay, so I have two sentences. I've expanded on my evidence. And so then I'm going to come over here and I'm going to find a second claim. Okay, I am going to look at this other article here and note that I have something kind of positive highlighted right here. And we're talking about the physicality. Okay, so my second claim would be women can still physically do the same amount as men. And so I would use this quote right here as my evidence. So many people believe that if women can meet the same standards as men, then it would only be fair to allow them into combat. And this is the second article that I'm pulling this from. So that author's name is Friedenberg, and I found that on the first page. Okay, so I'm just highlighting my quotes here just so you can see. I've got my embedding up at the top, and then I have the quote. Then I'm going to look at my article, and I'm going to say, you know, we're acknowledging that they can. Doesn't look like I have anything for commentary, so I may have to come up with my own here. But I might want to look at my second article and go into something because we have some commentary up here that we can use. So I'm going to copy that and I'm going to paste that in here, and I'm going to go through and I'm going to make sure that it looks good again. So studies show women are just as physically able to do the same work as men. This creates unity and equality in the military and shows that women are not a distraction and can help their male counterparts. So then I would do the same thing for claim 3. Now I'm not going to show you all of it. I think you have the idea here with the claim and the evidence and the reasoning. But then what I want to show you is we're going to go into the opposition. So the opposition is going to be the argument that no, women should not. So I'm probably going to get a lot of my information from the second article here. Okay. And so I might use this quote right here for my counterclaim because I'm going to say something like, even though some people think women can participate in combat, others argue that women cannot meet the physical requirements. And then my evidence is going to come from this article where we're going to talk about the lower survivability and reduced deployability. Okay, so I'm going to copy that quote into my evidence. So I'm going to embed my quote by giving a little background. So critics claim that women in combat have a lower survivability, a reduced lethality rate, meaning they're not quite as deadly as the men, and what was it? Reduced deployability. And this again is from the second article, so it would be Friedenberg. It's from the first page. Okay, then my rebuttal is going to come back and I'm going to explain that they can meet the physical requirements. Now, I do have that up here, so I want to make sure that I'm not just repeating what I've put up here. I want to make it different. So I'm going to use a rebuttal kind of sentence starter. So I might say, even though some women don't have the physical capabilities, many women do. If the women are capable of, let's use something from here. 52% of female cadets pass the test using male standards. So if the women are capable of passing the same standards as the men, they should be allowed in combat positions. Okay, and so I'm going to have a second counterclaim as well. Once I have filled out all of these parts, I'm going to go in and I'm going to think about a conclusion sentence. And in a conclusion sentence, you definitely want to make sure that you are kind of saying, I see the other side, and you're going to restate your thesis a little bit. So I'm going to write something like overall. So I'm kind of considering that there is this other side, but there are more pros than cons. So overall, allowing women to serve in combat positions in the United States military has a positive impact. Okay, and that's it. We're not going to take this into an actual essay form. We just want to write down our 3 claims for our stance, find our evidence and embed it, and then create our reasoning. And again, our reasoning could potentially come from what you've written over here in your annotations.